And the new thing that we have included here is regarding HFSS foods we have separately addressed, and also front of pack labeling. I mean, here we have ensured that people get enough knowledge about the significance of front of pack labeling, because hardly you see people taking seriously the label that is put on the packages. So they hardly read it. But it has a lot of information, valuable information. Reading that definitely will deter people from going to unhealthy foods. So, I mean, the main goal is to ensure that people eat healthy and they understand what healthy means. Even modest modifications, even small modifications will go a long way in helping your live healthy lifestyle.
There must be some recommendations regarding this, ma'am. In particular, these guidelines.
Yes, we do have recommendations. Particularly this time we ensured that the calories do not come much from sugar, and we also ensured that refined cereals, along with refined cereals, even if somebody is consuming, at least 50% should be from whole grains. And with respect to calorie components, first time we have addressed how much calories you must derive from cereals and how much from pulses and legumes. So we saw to it that it is not more than 35 to 40% kilocalories from cereals. And so that there is a representation of other food groups, like pulses and legumes should be contributing at least 15%, then 10% each from nuts and oil seeds. Nuts and oil seeds also contribute a lot to essential fatty acids, essential amino acids, but we do not attach so much significance to that. So 10% from there, nuts and oil seeds, and 10% from milk and milk products, another 10% from fruits and vegetables. Because fruits and vegetables, although they have although we recommend 500 kilograms per day, the calories that come from there is very little, but you get lots of vitamins and minerals. So here again, dietary diversity also we took into care. I mean, we have divided the food groups into 11 different food groups, so that, I mean, people are encouraged to eat more variety.
What kind of those food groups?
Like fruits, one group. Then among vegetables also green leafy vegetables, other vegetables, then tubers, roots and tubers. Among roots and tubers also varieties. Then pulses and legumes. Again, under pulses and legumes we also have flesh foods, fish. They are all clubbed together because they are usually high in protein. Then nuts and oil seeds. Among nuts and oil seeds also we had divided them into categories. Yeah?
Sorry, she wants.
Ma'am, what exactly the difference between the previous guidelines and these guidelines, and how it is going to benefit basically? This is what I wanted to know.
So the previous guideline, I mean, that time the current evidence that is prevalent were not available then, and also the food groups that were classified are lesser in number compared to what we are going to do now, the new release. And how it is going to benefit means, here specifically we have addressed HFSS foods, that is foods that are high in fat, salt and sugar, and we have specifically made guidelines for front of pack labeling. And another important thing is, here we have specifically mentioned how much calories should be derived from each food groups. That encourages people to allocate, like, yes, I have taken this much cereal, then let me take this much pulses also. Otherwise, we end up eating lots of cereals and ignore the other food groups. And this is going to help a lot in reducing the risk for non-communicable chronic diseases like diabetes type 2, coronary heart disease, heart attacks and stroke, and also communicable diseases like COVID and other infectious diseases. Because unless you eat healthy food and have active life, your immune response will be altered. So, because inflammation is a low grade consequence. If you take high fat, high salt and high sugar foods, and also if you have unhealthy dietary habits and low physical activity, there will be your immune response will not be good. Even immune regulation will be altered. So that will make you more susceptible for infectious diseases, and also vaccine response also will be affected.
That means, can we say that, to boost immunity basically, the dietary plan has...
I would say yes, to optimize immune response. To optimize immune response. Immune response also should be regulated. That for good immune response, again, it doesn't go overboard.
Ma'am, my question is that, is there any relation between COVID and nutrition and the role of nutrition during COVID?
Yes, globally, a lot of studies have been done. I mean, 10 country studies there, especially with respect to vitamin D, and few reports are there with respect to zinc and vitamin C. See, all almost all nutrients are important for immune response. It's not that it uses only one or two nutrients. One has to be healthy and one has to have healthy dietary habits and appropriate sleep and physical activity, stress also. All these factors help build your immunity. So recommending just one or two vitamins based without any scientific basis will not do much good. In fact, it might do harm also. Yes, studies have shown that people with low vitamin D have higher frequency of infections, and people with low vitamin D also have higher mortality from COVID. Different countries have shown epidemiological observational studies. But there is no robust clinical trial to really say whether vitamin D helps in COVID recovery or not. So
We have seen that without,
blanket kind of recommendation can't be made at this stage.
we have seen that without the recommendations, without doctors' recommendation, most of the people, what they do,
No,
they
I
take
would
multivitamins also. And during the time of COVID also, they have taken vitamin C, vitamin D, and zinc. So, and the sale also increased.
Yes.
Medicines. So,
I would suggest they take vitamins, minerals only under a physician's guidance. If you're sick, see a physician, let him recommend. If he feels that you require some supplements, go ahead. But without any physician's advice, if you take over the counter, and it is not advisable.
ma'am, most of the time children, they eat junk food. So are you doing something on that how it affects their health?
Junk food, yes. Junk food means unhealthy foods, which are high in calories but low in micronutrients like vitamins and minerals, which are low in phytonutrients, which are low in bioactive substances. So these nutrients which are required in small quantities, that is vitamins, minerals, bioactive compounds and phytonutrients, these are all very, very critical for our health. Not just for physical growth, even for our mental health and even for our immune system development and its correct response, optimal response. So even though children once a while indulge in unhealthy dietary habits, as I already mentioned, along with that, if you take lots of fresh vegetables and fruits, the prebiotics that are there in those foods will help reduce the adverse effects of high fat diet.
Have you done on research on this particular research?
High fat diet.
Yeah. How it is affecting their health basically? How it is affecting their health?
We had done one analysis in our huge NNMB data. What we have seen there is low consumption of milk and higher intake of fast foods like fried stuffs, deep fried stuffs like chips and biscuits and all, associated with higher levels of type 2 diabetes. And low intake of fruits and vegetables milk is related to hypertension, and low intake of fruits and vegetables is directly related to type 2 diabetes. We have seen that. And among children, especially among young girls, this polycystic ovarian disease is increasing very much. And the underlying pathogens for this is similar to type 2 diabetes and cardiovascular diseases. That is low grade chronic inflammation. What happens is, overnight nothing will happen if you take high fat diet. If you take lots of sugar, very high sugar and high salt, nothing will happen overnight. So people generally feel, they say a healthy diet, but it doesn't happen. But then it has lots of effects on your health. Your cognition will be affected, your memory will be affected, your sleep will be affected. And after some time, you have other consequences like type 2 diabetes. You become insulin resistant, type 2 diabetes. And once you are insulin resistant, you develop obesity, adiposity. And then that again perpetuates to cardiovascular risk factors like stroke and heart attacks.
Are you going to bring some kind of guidelines regarding this intake of junk food?
See, in the dietary guidelines that we are going to release very soon, that will also have this addressing this junk foods as well, unhealthy food dietary habits.